Gents, let's move on to Chelsea's next game. They host Pafos in the Champions League. The Cypriot side, of course, David Luiz in their ranks. And the next two Champions League games are must-wins for Chelsea. A couple of difficult results before the Champions League went on break. That loss against Atalanta really killed Chelsea's chances of qualifying to the next stage. But this is a game that they'll be expecting to win on Wednesday night against a team that, they've given a few teams a difficult run in this competition, but Chelsea will be heavy favourites at Stamford Bridge. What do you expect to see from Rosenior going into this game on Wednesday?
I wonder, the big question that, and he'll be speaking on Tuesday afternoon ahead of it, is who's available. I think if there was no illness and everyone was fit, he'd probably want to use the game to have a look at a couple of players that he'd maybe not seen loads of yet. You want to see, I say you want to, you will want to see Santos maybe start and have a run, maybe hope that Delap's well enough to have a start, because I think after him coming off the bench and doing well and winning that penalty, he'll want to encourage more good performances. We saw him, even when Callum McFarlane was there, Delap came on at Man City and did well and stepped up, and starting to see him look a bit more confident in himself to make those runs in behind, and he's really the only one in that squad that's capable of doing that, because João Pedro likes to drop in and play deeper every now and then. I think they'll want to see something calm. The win against Brentford helps in that if they'd lost that and it was a mess and we've had the new manager come in and all that, and then David Luiz turns up to remind you of how good things were not that long ago, just a reminder of past glories, then it's another thing to go, oh God, a bit like when Jose turned up with Benfica and was sat in the room surrounded by pictures of him, the Drake Suite at Stamford Bridge earlier this season. And Maresca's there having to compare himself to Jose, just an awkward thing to have to see if the feeling isn't great. But it's just going to be building that confidence. I think at this stage, it looks, like you said, very difficult for them to get into that top 8 and avoid a playoff. But they need to go into the Napoli game next week, because that's the even more challenging one, with as much of a chance as they can. And losing to Pafos would be incredibly unhelpful for what has been a busy but fairly comfortable start for Rosenior so far.
Sam, do you expect to see changes rung out against Pafos on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think you look at the bench from the weekend, even Esteval, you could unleash him in the 10, couldn't you? Because I wouldn't imagine that Palmer's going to be risked ahead of this game, which you should win, and you should win comfortably. I think Bayern put 5 past them earlier in the campaign. I think David Luiz has got a little knock as well, which is going to not be great, is it? That's going to be a bit sobering for the Chelsea fans that are there on Wednesday, because everyone would love to see him back. But I think multiple changes. You'd expect Delap to go back in, having got his first Champions League goal earlier in the campaign. No qualms with him getting some more minutes, because I think he, in time this season anyway, should cement that position. I expect them to really shuffle the pack, and despite Crystal Palace's woes at the recent times to look ahead to at the weekend, I think you can hold a little bit back for that game, because still I think a game against Palace, if they're on it, is a tough proposition. So I expect multiple changes in the Champions League, and I expect Chelsea to win. I expect them to win well and maybe rack up a bit of a score. Despite
the fact that Chelsea took on Charlton in the FA Cup, you expect them to beat Charlton, and in the league, it's a Brentford side that are going well. We expect to beat Brentford at home, and against Pafos in the Champions League, Chelsea are heavy favourites. But it's a baptism of fire for Rosenior. His first 4 games, 4 different competitions. Yeah. Do you think that he should be prioritising any competitions at this stage of the season, or do you think every game has its own merits and he should be going in with the strongest team as possible, depending on
for him, every game will have its merit in that he gets to learn a bit more about everyone else. I think the Premier League is obviously the most important one always. The stage of the competition we're at in terms of the League Cup, that's probably got to be number 2 at the moment, really, I think, in this next few weeks, given that, it'd be amazing if almost impossible for them to drop out of the top 24 in the Champions League and not make it through. The top 8 would be a bonus now at this stage. I think, given it's a semi-final and a chance to get to a final, the League Cup is really important, and then the Premier League is always the one that you need to put the most focus on. Obviously, Rosenior will talk about, we just focus game by game by game, the same thing they all come out with.
Do you believe it?
No, never. No, I think, I'm sure you would have said it at certain times during your career, but I think if you're chasing something or you're competing with someone, every player will be able to sit there and know the 5 games they've got coming up, the 5 games their rivals got coming up, they'll know all about it. They'll be thinking, we've got them in a couple of weeks as well. Managers maybe a bit more, but it always seems to come out in time that actually, we did it in blocks, or you have to do that because you're thinking of that. I think Pafos as well, they will need to win. There's no
You probably have to go in with a strong enough
team,
a strong enough squad as well. Just because you don't want to leave too much to chance. It's a game you should win with the B team essentially that we saw in the Conference League last season, getting all the way, but different proposition now in the Champions League. But I think you probably have to go strong on the bench, for example, just to safeguard against a nightmare evening as it would be if you were to lose to Pafos.
And in terms of the game against Palace, if you look ahead to that one, going to Selhurst Park, I know Palace are struggling at the moment, and you've mentioned the Premier League as the priority. Do you think he's starting to understand his strongest 11? Do you think the 11 that we saw against Brentford on the weekend is somewhat similar to when everyone's fit, his strongest 11? And do you think we'll see that more likely against Palace on the weekend as opposed to midweek against Pafos?
Yeah, I think so. I think reality
we were saying before the game, weren't we? It wasn't far off his strongest team.
No,
I
absolutely.
think maybe a Fofana or Esteval over Tosin and Garnacho maybe turn that up one more notch. But the team against Brentford was pretty much there, wasn't it? Obviously Colwell not available long term, but of the players that are around now and fit and ready to go, that's as strong as he could have gone, really. Yeah,
and the Tosin gets taken out of the equation now if he's going to be injured for a few weeks. Colwell, I mean, his absence is looking greater and greater by the week, isn't it? Because you've not been able to get that partnership spot on really in the centre of defence. So Fofana, he finished at right back, didn't he, the other day? But Fofana back in probably to one of those centre half berths would be obvious at Palace. And it's a game where you're on a bit of a hide into a nothing because at the moment everyone would anticipate Chelsea going there and probably winning against Palace in their current guys, where victories have been hard to come by and they've had a horrific week. That's putting it gently.